What's good, YouTube? It's me, your boy Squiddy, back in another video. Let's talk about Vanquish Soul. This is a archetype that just came out in the new side set, Wild Survivors, as of yesterday, and it's actually a really serious competitor. In my opinion, this deck could potentially be tier 1, potentially do very well in the metagame, and a lot of people are kind of sleeping on it. So this is a deck that was decent in the OCG. They've won some events here and there. They're not really like the best deck in the OCG, but I think it's a little bit different in the TCG. Our lists are a lot different, and I think this deck is really awesome because it's a lot like Gadgets in 2023. And what I mean by that is a lot of these cards actually accrue additional advantage. Like off one Vanquish Soul monster, you can potentially get a +3 or a +4 on itself. And there's so much room for non-engine cards like Ham Traps that you can whittle down the board state, simplify the game, control it, and then come back and win because you're up so many cards. So the lore of this deck, it's based off a fighting game. So if you guys like Street Fighter 6, so for those of you fans that are playing Street Fighter 6, which came out earlier this week, you're going to love this. It's a lot like a Japanese like 3v3 fighter game because these monsters are relying on each other for assists. And how they do that is they typically are revealing different archetype monsters from your hand to activate their effects. And you can reveal one archetype, two, or sometimes even three. The more archetypes you reveal, that effect is generally stronger. And then let's quickly talk about their cards. So they kind of rely on their main monster, Link 1, and we all know that Link 1s are broken. This is called Rock the Vanquisher. Keynote that this is not a Vanquish Soul for good reason, because there are some cards that rely on you controlling a number of Vanquish Souls, so this is just Rock of the Vanquisher. It's, I guess, the rock where all the fighters congregate in the lore. It requires one Vanquish Soul monster, cannot be used as Link material, and then while you control a Vanquish Soul monster, your opponents can only attack target monsters for attacks that you control with the highest attack. So it's very nice. It kind of turtles up and cannot be attacked when you control a Vanquish Soul monster. Then during the main phase, quick effects, so during either player's turn, you can activate one of these effects. Special summon one Vanquish Soul monster from your hand, or add one Vanquish Soul monster from your graveyard to your hand. So basically, linking off into Rock of the Vanquisher allows you to instantly add back the Vanquish Soul monster that you used from your graveyard, or special summon something. So it's an instant +1 gratification by summoning it. It's a very powerful rank 1. Now, the deck traditionally relies on summoning out Rock the Vanquisher and using it to control the board state. And let's go over some of the main deck monsters. So the main monster is Vanquish Soul RAZEN. This card, I like to compare it to Mathmech Circular because it does so much for the deck. You go like +4 on its own. And how it works is if this card is no more special, you can add one non-warrior Vanquish Soul monster from your deck to your hand. It's a Stratos for the entire archetype. Then quick effect, you can reveal one of the following archetypes to activate the following effects. So fire, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects this turn, or fire and dark, destroy all other monsters in this card's column. So yes, placement matters in this deck if you're playing it or if you're playing against it. Vanquish Soul RAZEN is a lot like a Relinquished Anima, because when you put it in the column, you can pop monsters in that column. It's very nice, on top of being a searcher. Then we have Dr. Mad Love. When she's normal summoned or specialed, you can add one Vanquish Soul Spiral Trap from your deck to your hand. And then quick effect, you can reveal a dark, one face-up monster your opponent controls loses 500 attack and defense. And then Dark and Earth, return the monster with the lowest defense on the field to the hand. So you can reveal you can like basically bounce your own monsters, or you can bounce your opponents. And it's very good against combo decks like Super Heavy Samurai, or like Purely when they have low defense. You can just threaten to bounce them non-targeting. So it's very nice additional effect there. Then we have some of the side characters, I guess. Vanquish Soul Pantera. This is a level 4 Beast Warrior Earth type. If you control no monsters in your main monster zone, you can special summon this card from your hand, so it's like a free extender. And then quick effect, you can reveal an Earth. This card cannot be destroyed by battle this turn, or Earth and Fire. Destroy all spell and traps in this card's column. So it's a lot like RAZEN. Instead of popping monsters, it destroys spells and traps, which is really nice. You can pop floodgates, you can threaten face down cards just by having it in your deck and being searchable off RAZEN. But obviously it doesn't do anything on summon, so it's not a 2 or 3 of, in my opinion. We're also playing Vanquish Soul Pluton HG, which is not that great of a character. He's a level 6 fire zombie, but he does have 0 attack and 0 defense, which is very crucial for Small World, which we happen to play in this deck. And then during your opponent's turn, if you control no monsters or only Vanquish Soul monsters in your main monster zone, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. So you can only special it during your opponent's turn. Not as good as Pantera, but you can search off RAZEN during your opponent's turn when you bring back with Rock the Vanquisher, so it does come up. And then you can reveal a fire monster. This card gains 3k defense until the end of the turn, or you can reveal Dark and Earth. This card gains 3k attack until the end of the turn. So it could be very useful to facilitate OTKs on the following turn by summoning RAZEN on their turn in the end phase, and then, and then searching the Pluton and then special summoning that out. So just option to have, but it's mostly for small world. I don't think it's the best card in the world. It could potentially be cut as you guys refine this deck more and more. But for now, I just decided to include it so you guys know what it is and what it does. Then we have some of the boss monsters. Vanquish Soul Heavy Borger. This is a very, very powerful card. Level 7, 2500 attack, Dark Monster Machine. During the main phase quick effect, you can target one non-machine Vanquish Soul monster you control, return to the hand, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand. And then quick effect, you can reveal a Dark to draw a card, or Earth and Fire to inflict 1500 damage to your opponent. So it's very, very powerful. It's a lot like Heat Soul. The draw card is a quick effect. You can reveal Dark on your turn, summon it out, draw a card. On their turn, draw phase, you reveal Dark, draw a card. So you're drawing 2 cards. Or during time, or close to time, you can reveal Earth and Fire to inflict 1500 on your turn, 1500 on their turn. That's a 3k differential. Very, very nice. Also nice for closing out games, because 3k to the dome is nothing to scoff at, right? So a lot of times you're controlling the game by summoning out a Heavy Borger, just drawing a bunch of cards, whittling down your opponent with hand traps, and then you just win. It's very, very powerful. And then the main boss monster is Vanquish Soul Caesar Valius, which is a level 8 Earth Dragon monster with 3k attack. During the main phase quick effect, you can target one non-dragon Vanquish Soul monster you control, return in the hand. If you do, special summon this card. Quick effect, you can reveal an Earth. This face-up card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects this turn, so it's a lot like the Psychic and Punisher. And then you can reveal an Earth, Fire, Dark. Destroy one other card on the field. Non-targeting, destruction on any card on the field, quick effect. So this card is very, very powerful, but you have to assemble the entire squad with Earth, Fire, and Dark. And naturally in the TCG, it's a lot harder to assemble the Earth monsters because we don't have Maxi. In the OCG, they have Maxi, so they can easily reveal that. But you can even look at our deck, like there are no good hand traps in Earth. And then even in Engine, we only have Pantera, and another copy of Caesar Valius is the Earth monsters. So playing cards like Fenrir, in my opinion, is quite nice, because of the fact that you can reveal it as an Earth, and it also kind of fits the theme of gadgets being able to replace itself, add another card, and it just looks like a menacing creature. I mean, if I was playing a fighting game, I would definitely pick Fenrir because he's so terrifying. So that's just one thing to note, but you do have to play 2 Soul Borger and 2 Caesar Valius, in my opinion, because this deck is a very grindy deck. It's a control deck. You're not going to kill them in one turn typically, so in the grind game, you want multiple copies to search off of RAZEN, and then just recur and start playing with them in your deck. So let's talk about some of the spell cards now that we're done with the main monsters. There is Stake Your Soul, which is not a Vanquish Soul spell card for good reason, because then you would be able to search it with Dr. Madlove. This card is like an E-Telly for any Vanquish Soul in your deck. It's a very, very nice starter. So you reveal one monster in your hand, special summon one Vanquish Soul with the same attribute but a different name from your deck, but return it to your hand during the end phase, hard once per turn. So that naturally means that our hand traps would get more value if we share a type. So things like Ash Blossom are very, very nice. It's a fire. You can reveal it for Stake Your Soul, and then you can get access to RAZEN, which is like your full combo. Or you can reveal other cards like the Bystials even for Darks to summon out like any of your Vanquish Soul monsters, including Heavy Borger or Dr. Madlove, which allows you to start your plays too. So it's kind of nice. Like the attributes really matter in this deck. You have to control which attributes are in your hand so you can maximize the effects of the monsters that you reveal, and then also have other cards to reveal for Stake Your Soul, for example. Then we have some quick play spell cards. Vanquish Soul Continue. Pay 500 LP, target one Vanquish Soul monster in your graveyard, either add it to your hand or special summon in defense mode, hard once per turn. So it's a lot like Rock of the Vanquisher on a spell card, and it's a quick play, so you can use it to reborn something. And then Vanquish Soul Dust Devil is a really, really nice, basically a non-targeting Book of Moon. What it does is you target one Vanquish Soul monster you control, change its battle position, then you can change face-up monsters your opponent controls to face-down defense position up to the number of Vanquish Soul monsters you control with different names. So that's the reason why Rock of the Vanquisher is not a Vanquish Soul. It'd be too broken with this card. But this is a non-targeting Book of Moon or a Book of Eclipse. All you have to do is target one Vanquish Soul monster you control, change its battle position, and then if you have a bunch of Vanquish Souls, you just start booking the crap out of your opponent's monsters. So it's very good against Kastira. It's a quick play spell card that can be searchable off Dr. Madlove, so it's just a nice card to have. There are also Vanquish Soul traps, but I just don't feel like they're good, because I feel like, you know, traps are bricks in your hand going first, and then Vanquish Soul Dust Devil already does more or less the same thing. It's an interrupt that's very good in the metagame, so I just think it's good enough to play as is. And then hand traps, non-engine, we can play not a lot of hand traps, Ash Blossom, Veilers, Nibs, and then Imperms. The one thing to know about Veiler and Nib, like the lights are really, really bad. You can tell that these guys do not reveal lights or winds for any of their effects or waters. So those attribute hand traps are just lose a lot more value because you can't use them to reveal the effects to assist them in fighting, and you cannot reveal them for Stake Your Soul. So that's just one thing to note about. We are also playing one Curry card Div Incarnate and then one Dogoran, the Flame Kaiju. These are also tunable off Small World. The nice thing about Small World is it's a lot like in Mathmech. You don't care about going neg1. You can just accrue the advantages back with RAZEN and Dr. Madlove, and then you also have the option of either tutoring for them as starters or tutoring for hand traps if you have multiple engine cards. If you know me, you know that I hate neg ones, and I've always hated Small World, but I think in this deck it might actually have a chance to shine a lot like it did in Mathmech, just to guarantee you have RAZEN. And then you have to note that the 1500 attack and defense, these are like key numbers in this deck because it's shared with a lot of the monsters. You can see Vanquish Soul RAZEN has 1500 defense. So does Heavy Borger as well. And then Dogoran has 1200 defense. Dr. Madlove has 1200 attack. So just key things to note there. And then the attributes, of course, are being shared as fires. And Dinosaur and Fairy are nice that they don't conflict with the types of the rest of the monsters. Fenrir is just generic. We talked about being an earth monster that you can reveal as well as being a gadget monster that has a disruption. It's nice that you have instantly the other copy of Fenrir in your hand to reveal, and you have the Fenrir on the field. And then RAZEN, your main starter, 3 Dr. Madlove, also very good. 2 of each of these guys we talked about, and then 1 of each of their assist monsters. And then 3 Pot of Prosperity. It does conflict with Heavy Borger because you can't draw during the turn that you use Prosp, but I think it's very absolutely crucial to get to Soul RAZEN, a lot like how you get to Mathmech Circular. So we definitely need Prosperity. And you can see in the extra deck, it's mainly a toolbox. Like, we're not really using all of the monsters. It's purely toolbox. We really only need Rock the Vanquisher. So this is just nice to manage 6 off of. And then Reinforcement of the Army is just a 4th copy of RAZEN, which is a warrior. Small World, we talked about. Inferno Arms Durando. This is another copy of Rhoda that allows you to add 1 level 5 or lower fire warrior monster from your deck to your hand while it's equipped, so you can add RAZEN. I don't particularly like this card because you have to equip it to something going first, which means you have to commit a monster to the board. It's nice with Fenrir, however, and then going second, you can equip to an opponent's monster, but they might pop it. But I thought I'd include it so you guys can kind of take a look and tweak and test. This deck is by no means optimal, but I just want to include a lot of 1-ups so you guys know what cards are playable and what cards you can test. And then Stake Your Soul and the rest of the Vanquish Soul cards that we were talking about. Side deck, I think the Bestials are really good because you're just good in this very grindy mid-range meta, and they're dark so you can reveal for the effects. Always very, very nice, especially Magnuma being able to add something in the end phase so you can have that card in the hand to assist your plays. And then Shifter, I think, is really nice. In this deck, you don't really need your graveyard aside from Rock the Vanquisher, but he does have the other effect to special summon anyway, so you don't really care about your grave. Shifter can be very, very powerful in this metagame, and I think it's be included in this deck for sure. You could also play something else like Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. Alternatively, it's a dark monster that also has 0 attack, so that could be small rolled into. And because we have so much room flex spots in our extra deck, you could start hitting cards like A Rise Heart in the metagame as well. So that's another option. Having 1200 attack Shifter, it's not always dead on the follow-up. You could just use small rolled to small rolled it away for something like a Kaiju or a Dr. Madlove. So just something to know. It's very relevant there as well. And then Retaliating Sea, because we don't have Maxi, I think this card is very good against Branded. It's good against Purelees. It's good against even Gold Pride, playing E-Telly. You know, it's good against any cards that have spell cards like Runic, Special Summon, against Sky Striker, against Chart Cannon. So I think it's just nice to have. And then also being in Earth is very, very important, so we can reveal it off of our monsters to get the assists. And then some back row hate, because, of course, like Floodgates, like Labyrinth is annoying. And then you can actually play Floodgates in this deck. So either there can be only one, because none of these guys are the same type, so you can play with this in mind, or Skill Train, because we have big beaters like 3k and 2500 attack. We can just summon them on the field and start beating down face. We don't really care about anything else, right? So these are Floodgates you guys would potentially try as well. And then the extra deck is fairly standard, just a rank 4 toolbox, because a lot of these guys are rank 4s, so level 4s, Abyss Dweller. Dark Rebellion, XYZ Dragon, and Odd Eyes Rebellion, Dragon Overlord. So Overlord you can actually overlay on top of Rebellion for free, which gives you a 4 material Zeus, and it has 3k attack, so it's kind of relevant to crash over things like big Cashier monsters. Alternatively, you could play Zodiac Borbo and a Zodiac Chakanine, so that attacks direct and gives you a Zeus that way as well. So just fun things to experiment with. And then Exciton Knight and Baguska, just generic options. We have Access Code as well. Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos is really nice to pair with Vanquish Soul Heavy Borger or Caesar Valius when you link into it. So it's a 4500 towers, basically. And then just generic Nightmares, Dark, 3 Rock the Vanquisher. That's our main dude that we really only need. And then Celine just for a rank up into Access Code. So that's it for the deck. I'm going to show you guys some combos now. Alrighty guys, let's start off with the Vanquish Soul RAZEN as a soul starter. This is a lot like Mathmech Circular. It does a lot on its own. When he's normal summoned, we're going to add a non-warrior Vanquish Soul. So we're going to go ahead and add Dr. Madlove here. We're going to link this off into Rock the Vanquisher. Use Rock's effect. Instead of adding back the Soul RAZEN, which is a potential play we can do, we're just going to go ahead and special summon out Madlove, which adds a copy of another extender. in the form of the Vanquish Soul Continue. So what this does is it sets up Continue, so we can special summon back the Razen on their turn and also have the Rock of the Vanquisher to special summon in addition to that. So it's basically better than adding back the Soul Razen. Now on our opponent's turn, we're going to let them go, and then when we have an opportunity to put up a Disrupt, we're going to go ahead and summon the Vanquish Soul Razen back to our board. Bear in mind that the zones do matter. We want to traditionally probably put the Soul Razen in front of the extra monster zone, just because if our opponent is playing a Link deck, then we have the option of popping it with the Soul Razen in case that it survives for the next turn, right? So let's put it underneath that zone. Effect's going to activate. In this case, we're going to go ahead and add the Heavy Borger here, because what we can then do is use the effect of Heavy Borger to bounce back the Mad Love, and then special out Borger, and then Borger can actually reveal the Dr. Mad Love to draw into more disruption, potential hand traps. And then we also, on top of all of that, still have the Rock of the Vanquisher, so we can either summon back out the Dr. Mad Love or a different card here for this matter if we have another card that we can summon. And then Mad Love is going to allow us to add another copy of a spell, so you can either add, I guess, Dust Devil in this build is our only target, but if you happen to play multiple continues, then you can add a follow-up there as well. So already, this is just off one card, guys. Look at how many cards we have on the table. This is absolutely nuts, right? Like, look. We have 4 cards on the table and 2 in hand. That's 6 cards. This is like a +5 in that case off one Razen, which is absolutely nuts. And we still have 4 of the cards in our hand to use with like hand traps or whatever to stop our opponent. Our opponent cannot attack Rock the Vanquisher. They got to clear our board. We can survive, and then on our next turn, we can whittle down their opponent, right? So really, really cool combo off one card. I mean, even cards like just one Dr. Mad Love, it's not the best combo, but it still does a lot. Like, assuming we have 4 other hand traps in our hand, what we can actually do is just search a Dust Devil, and that, even on its own, does a lot, in my opinion. We can then just link off into the Rock of the Vanquisher, use the effect to add back the Dr. Mad Love, and then on our turn, we can just set this as a Book of Moon. So essentially, we have 5 disrupts. If we have 4 other hand traps, right, plus the Dust Devil, then on our turn, or their turn rather, we can special summon out the Mad Love, and then the Mad Love will allow us to add a copy of Continue, which is just follow up. And then from there, we actually have the Dust Devil. Well, I guess we should summon this in attack mode. And then we use the Dust Devil to turn this into defense mode by targeting it. And then we can book a monster that opponent controls. And a lot of you guys know that Book of Moon sometimes is just an FDK against Cash Hero. So against Cash, this could just be enough with 4 other hand traps, right? So it's not like the end of the world. Like, look, we're getting a lot of cards off this exchange, right? Off one card, we're still getting like a +3. So yeah, just little things to think about there. Okay, guys, here's a cool 2-card combo with Vanquish Soul Razen and Dr. Mad Love. We're still going to summon out the Vanquish Soul Razen here. We're just going to go ahead, and in this case, we can actually add back the Borger here because we already have a Dark who can reveal. Going to go ahead and go into a Link 1 Rock the Vanquisher, as you guys already know. And then we're going to use the effect to summon out the Mad Love, just like we did in the previous combo. We're going to use this effect here just to add a card to our hand. So in this case, you can actually choose to either add the Dust Devil or potentially the Continue. So it's really up to you. It depends on the rest of your hand. In this case, if we add Continue, we can go ahead and do that. And then we can use the effect of Heavy Borger to bounce back the Mad Love. And because we already have the Mad Love in hand, we can actually draw a card here too by revealing the Dr. Mad Love. And then we just draw a card here, and it's really nice. And we set up again for the next turn. On our opponent's turn, we can use this in the draw phase again to draw another card. And then we have sort of the same combo that we talked about previously, where we have the Continue. And what this does, it actually sets up Caesar Valius, depending on what other attributes we have in our hand. So when we summon back the Razen, obviously in this column, and in attack mode, and then we take 500, what we can do is use the effect here, and then that's going to allow us to add a copy, assuming that we have all of the available resources in our hand, the available attributes. We're going to go ahead and just add a copy of Caesar Valius. And then what that does is it allows us to go ahead and summon out the Caesar Valius by bouncing back potentially the Razen. And then assuming we have an Earth, we're going to have an ability to pop by revealing a Earth, Fire, and a Dark, right? Which we already have the Fire and the Dark. The only thing you're really missing is your Earth. And we haven't even used Rock the Vanquisher either, so you can still continue to play by using Dr. Mad Love to add a copy of Dust Devil or another copy of Continue. Alternatively, if we added Dust Devil in that combo, it would have just been like a Dust Devil setup with an extra additional piece of removal. So it depends on if you had the Earth monster in your hand to use with Caesar Valius. If not, it might be more wise against a deck like Hestira to actually search the Dust Devil off of the Mad Love on our turn, so we could have set it and had that disruption, right? And book 2 monsters. So yeah, that's just some combos that you guys can definitely test out with the deck. If you guys like this, definitely let me know. And if you guys have any other combos, definitely let me know as well. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.